Jefferson County Court, Law number 2 is back in session. The court is in session, 2 cases. On the announcement docket, first case is cause number M334096. Second case is cause number M334302. Both cases are styled the state of Texas versus Gerald Wayne Washington. Mr. Washington, is that your full name? Mr. Washington, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Washington, do you swear, affirm, to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Washington, you may put your hand down. How are you doing, Mr. Washington? You doing all right? Mr. Washington, you're represented in your case by your attorney, Attorney Don Boudreaux. Attorney Boudreaux, how are you doing?
Yes, fine, sir.
That's good, Mr. Boudreaux. Do you waive a record in Mr. Washington's cases?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Washington, in cause number M334302, I have before, let's see, I'm going to proceed on the other case. Let me go with the other case first. In cause number M334096, Mr. Washington, I have before me a document that is titled information. This information was filed by the Jefferson County District Attorney's Office. In this information, Mr. Washington, it alleges that you, Gerald Wayne Washington, on or about April 4th of on or about July 17th of 2022, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of possession of a controlled substance. Mr. Washington, do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes, sir.
And to this charge, Mr. Washington, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No comment.
Now, you're pleading no contest freely and voluntarily? You understand what freely and voluntarily mean? Is anybody forcing you to enter a plea of no contest, or are you doing it of your own free will? Okay. Now, Mr. Washington, I have before me another document that is titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishments. Do you recognize this document? You have to speak up.
Yes, sir.
On page 2 of the same document, there are a set of initials on a line next to a box that's checked nolo contendere, which means no contest. The initials are GW. Did you place your initials on this document?
Yes, sir.
On page 3 of the same document, there's a signature above the line that is titled Defendant. Is this your signature?
Yes, sir.
And on the next document that's titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled Defendant? At the top of this document, there are 2 boxes checked. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that statement? You don't? Okay. It states that this is a plea bargain case. In essence, you entered into a plea bargain and you have no right of appeal. In essence, you cannot appeal the case. Do you understand that? Okay, Mr. Boudreaux, I'm gonna give you some time that you can talk to your client to explain to him. Do you need this here? This is the paperwork that you could show him where it is and you could explain it to him. Now, Mr. Washington, I'm going to show you trial court certification of defendant's right of appeal again. And do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled defendant?
Okay.
At the top of this document, there are two boxes that's checked. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that statement? Second box that's checked states that you're waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that statement? You have to speak up. I also have a document here that is titled Discovery Certification. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled defendant?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Washington, before you signed and administered these documents, did your attorney, Mr. Boudreaux, go over these documents with you?
Yes, sir.
And did you read and understand everything that Mr. Boudreaux went over?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Washington, are you a citizen of the United States?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Washington, well, state, I have before me State's Exhibit Number 1, the misdemeanor plea admonishment, and State's Exhibit Number 2, the probable cause affidavit. State, would you like to offer States 1 and 2 into evidence?
Yes, sir.
Any objections, Mr. Boudreaux? No objections? State's Exhibits 1 and 2 are admitted. Mr. Boudreaux, you have advised and counseled Mr. Washington, is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, sir.
And Mr. Washington, your attorney, Mr. Boudreaux, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, sir.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Washington, I will accept your plea of no contest. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement? And let's see. And what is that agreement?
Exchange for plea of guilty no contest. State's agree to recommend 1 year deferred adjudication,
1 year deferred,
community supervision,
okay,
$500 fine and
$500.
court cost,
plus court costs, okay,
40 hours community service.
40 hours community service.
All other standard terms and conditions. Also part of this plea, judge, the state agreed to dismiss the companion case M 334-302. Also part of that agreement is to forfeit both weapons in that particular case. So both belong to this fall.
I see your calculator. Okay. Now, Mr. Boudreaux, were you appointed in these cases?
You what?
Were you appointed in these
Yes,
cases? You were, okay. Mr. Washington, state is offering that you serve 1 year deferred adjudicated probation in this case. During that 1 year probationary period, you'll be required to pay a fine of $500 plus court costs of $292, plus a probation fee of $60 each month, a urinalysis fee of $15 each month, a reimbursement fee of $15, and you'll also be required to reimburse the Jefferson County court-appointed attorney's fees of $300. Now, your total monthly installments, that is the total amount that you will be required to pay each month while you are on probation, is $182. Will you be able to pay the $182 each month?
Yes, sir.
You will also be required to perform 40 hours of community service. You'll be required to adhere to the other standard terms and conditions of this probation. The state will be dismissing cause number M334302 for forfeiture of the weapons in that case. And I have before me 2 motions to forfeit those weapons. On this first motion, well, first of all, do you recognize these motions?
Yes, I do. Yes.
And is this your signature on this motion in my right hand?
Yes, sir.
And in the left hand, is this your signature
Yes, sir.
on the line that title defendant? Now, before you sign this document, did your attorney, Mr. Boudreaux, go over this document with you?
Yes, sir.
And did you read and understand everything in this document?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in this document true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
What you mean?
Is it true that the weapon is being forfeited? The Glock is being, the Glocks, two Glocks, and Glock 19 and Glock 23 is being forfeited to the Beaumont Police Department.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you want the court to grant these motions?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Mr. Washington, do you understand the state's offer?
I could ask him.
Okay, you're gonna ask your attorney first and he can tell you whether or not. Yeah, I mean, you can tell him what you can want to ask me and he can let you know whether or not you should ask me that question. What do you want? Let me do this here. 1918.
No.
One UCW charged $2 with it. We can't charge you with UCW twice on the same time.
That's all I would do.
Yeah, that's all you get. So I was clearing that up.
Still did ask you.
Okay, now, Mr. Washington, you want the court to grant these motions? Now, do you understand the court is going to grant the motion to forfeit the weapons to the Beaumont Police Department in this case? And now, Mr. Washington, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes, sir.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The state, well, the court is also going to find that based on the circumstances surrounding the commission of this offense, that the possession of the seized weapons would pose a threat to the community, to one or more individuals, and that's pursuant to Article 18.19 of the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure, Section D5, and also The court is also going to grant these motions to forfeit. The court is going to follow the plea bargain agreement that you've entered into with the state. Now, Mr. Washington, if you successfully complete the probationary period, this case will be dismissed. It will not result in a conviction on your record, and you may qualify for non-disclosure. You can talk to your attorney about the non-disclosure because he is quite competent in those matters. And so, Mr. Washington, you're going to stand on the X next to your attorney right there on the floor, follow the directions of our clerk, and once you finish following her directions, you'll be free to go, and you have a blessed day.